Chalk Talk. I'm your host, Kim Davis. Welcome. It is Tuesday, February the 21st. Man, there's so much happening. Thank you for being a part of this week's show. And as always, if you'll hit that button and share the video on whatever platform you are viewing this. Also, be sure to go and subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the live button, which is where you will see all of our shows. Okay, so a lot to get to today. Spring training is officially underway. We're going to talk about that. The NBA All-Star game was over the weekend. We're not going to talk about that. I can't, y'all. I can't. But the season does resume, right? It's a brief break. It's their kind of mid-season break. And the season starts back, or the games start back on Thursday. The Houston Rockets are in action on Friday in Golden State. We'll talk a little bit about that. Some of the moves that were made right before the deadline and things that have happened since. And I'm going to let you hear from Dusty Baker, Dana Brown, and Michael Brantley, all from spring training in Florida. And our big interview today, I'm super excited about this. Football coach Michael Haywood, our college football expert, is going to be joining us the bottom of the hour in the second half of the show, so we can talk about some of these prospects coming out and what's happening with the NIL, how that is impacting the college game. So a lot to get to. Welcome. But as always, at first we have to talk about the people who help us bring this show to you each and every week. World Youth Foundation is our title sponsor, and the World Youth Foundation does a bunch of really amazing work. We have partnered with them to help promote the upcoming African American Male Wellness Walk. The date for that walk is April the 15th. It's going to be held at Texas Southern University. It will start and finish there. But more than just walking, there are going to be free screenings, health screenings, all kind of information that you can get. So if you know someone, make sure that you follow the page. I'll continue to put information about the walk so that you can sign up. Drop me a note if you're interested in having a passion team. That's where you get a group of folks that can come out and walk. But we have to support the men in our community because getting proper health screenings is not what they always do. So we are here to not judge them, but to support them. It's a great opportunity to come out and find out what your numbers are and have some fun. The Houston Texans are one of our sponsors. They're going to have an activation. They're going to be on site. You're going to see some folks from Fox 26. We just got a lot of people who have signed up, have joined in the effort to really make this work sustainable and meaningful. So thank you to the World Youth Foundation. Also, our ongoing partners over at ilovejinka.com. Our good friends Kim and LJ Williams continue to support the work that we do here. We continue to support what they do. Inflammation, right? That's a word. It is really the root of many, I won't say most, but many medical conditions and issues. How do you tackle that? I'm glad you asked. I love Jinka. Jinka is a turmeric paste. You can take it in the paste and put it in your coffee or your almond milk or your apple juice, or you can take it as a veggie cap, or there's a powder you can put in your smoothies. But it reduces inflammation. Their main ingredient, it's got 8 roots and herbs in it. It has all the stuff that you need, right, in terms of minerals. But it is the turmeric, which is really a key. They have a high grade of turmeric that is used in the product, and people are having tremendous success. So go to ilovejinka.com if you want to order some Jinka. If you're in the Houston area, in Southeast Texas, here's where you can find it in HEB.
Here at HEB, in the Healthy Living Department of Probiotics, you can find Jinka 7 days a week.
Yep. Look at a Jinka sale. Look at that. Jinka.
That's where you find it when you go on HEB. Also, you're looking for some healthy snacks, not just healthy, but snacks that taste really good. Well, you are in luck. Go to KimmyTreats.com and order your vegan popcorn today. So you may be asking, as many people have, Kim, what's vegan popcorn? Isn't it all vegan? No, it's vegan because it's made with coconut oil. There's no animal fat in it. In our chili cheese popcorn, there's no cheese, right? It's flavored, but it's a healthy flavor that gives you the cheese taste. So there's no animal fat. It's clean. It's made with coconut oil. It's a non-GMO popcorn. That's important. I met someone at a procurement event a couple weeks ago who said, I love popcorn, but I can't eat it. My doctor says it's because it's GMO that makes me sick. I'm like, you're in luck. My popcorn is non-GMO. Go to KimmyTreats.com or go to Sunshine's if you're in Houston. Vegetarian Deli on Old Spanish Trail. This is what you can get. Order your popcorn, and oh, by the way, the body butter is also there. All right, welcome. Okay, let's get into today's show. There is a lot to talk about. So I want to let you hear from the Astros. They are in West Palm. They're in Florida for spring training. And, I went to Super Bowl this year. I don't think I'm going to get to spring training, but I plan to do both next year. But in the interim, I'm going to still let you hear from the Focus Spring Training. I can't believe it's time for baseball. I'm super excited. I love baseball, but I also think this Houston Astros team has a really good shot to be really good and to be in the conversation about winning another championship. Dusty Baker always said, when I get one, I want two. Hopefully he gets two. So before we start talking about spring training in particular, I want to let you hear a clip from Dusty Baker before he left Houston to head to Florida to join the team for spring training. He spoke about his diagnosis with cancer, his previous diagnosis with cancer at an MD Anderson event. Here is Dusty talking about when he got that diagnosis all those years ago.
One of the worst things that you can hear is that you have cancer. And I was like, nah, ain't no way I got cancer. Not me, not the kids. I just called myself the kid when I was cocky. And so, yep, I had cancer. And my wife says early detection is the key. Second thing is that you got to attack it before it attacks you. And my son was 3 years old at the time. And I had a lot to live for. And I was like, well, I got to go do what I got to do. Knock on wood, it's been 20 years.
20 years, what a blessing. And what did he say? Early detection is the key, and then to attack it early. I wanted to start with that clip. As I mentioned, the African American Male Wellness Walk. Come out to the walk, support the walk, get the information. Early detection is the key to whatever it is that ails you or you may have. It's attacking it early and getting on it early. So that was Dusty Baker talking about being diagnosed with cancer and then getting early detection so that he could beat it. He's been cancer free for 20 years. All right, so the Astros are in spring training, and this is what Dana Brown, the new general manager, had to say about the opportunities that face this team, and he talked specifically about leadership. This is Dana Brown, the Astros' new general manager.
Yeah, the mentality's great. I spent some time with Dusty yesterday, probably about an hour and a half, and at the end of the day, I think the leadership is on point. I think Dusty has a vision for this club. I think he has great relationships with the players, and I think the chemistry is really good. I'm not surprised these guys won the World Series. I remember, in Atlanta in 21 when we played these guys, the house was rocking. And I think, the team is still really good. And I think Dusty's leadership is a big part of it. I watched the way he interacts with the players. I think he can tap into the psyche. And I think these guys will run through a wall for him. So the leadership is really good right now.
The leadership is really good. And, yeah, it's baseball season, y'all. I'm excited. So, speaking of baseball season, one of the things that we've been waiting to see, or I know I have, is what's going to happen with Michael Brantley. The Uncle Mike. How's he recovering from that shoulder injury that kept him out for most of the season last year? Here is Dusty Baker talking about Michael Brantley, who was in camp, about having him back and what it means for the team.
I mean, he's a special person, special ball player, and yeah, I'm extremely happy to have Michael back. You know, it's hard to imagine life without Michael Brantley around here. But you know, we're hoping that he comes. You know, he's ready on time. If not, I would liken it to like a Kawhi Leonard situation. You know, with the Clippers, where when you do get him back, it's a big plus. You know, for the team on the field and off the field.
He is a big plus. If you remember last year during postseason, the players were glad just to have him in the clubhouse, right? To have him on the bench. So he's back. And this is Dusty talking about him as a hitter, right? They've got a lot of bats in this lineup, but he's talking about what makes him so special as a hitter.
You know, like I've been watching Michael Brantley hit for a long time. Yeah. And, you know, he's one of the guys that that I use as an example to young people. You know, he came up as the opposite field hitter that learned to pull a ball. And it's hard to get a pull hitter to teach him how to hit to the opposite field. So, you know, he's the kind of guy that you would, well, I tell my son to watch, you know, because he has a great idea on what he's doing, and he works on it.
He took ground balls at first yesterday. Is that just a spring training thing?
We're not seriously considering it, but I mean, how much first base can he play with a Brady? So, you know, it's just, you know, just gives us another option and gives him another option.
Don't you just love it? I love my colleague. So I played the part even though there was a little bit of static because Brantley took some balls at first base the other day. This tape is from yesterday, so the day before. He had taken some balls at first, and they were asking Dusty, like, why? You know, is he going to play some first? And like what Dusty said was, how much time are you going to get at first with Abreu? You know, so, but just the more you can do, you know, working on your defense and getting the work in. Here is Michael Brantley back in action, working his way back, and this is him after practice 2 days ago.
I'm right where I need to be. I'm right where they asked me to be. I'm happy.
What about defense? Are you able to throw on with no restrictions, things like that?
Absolutely, yes.
You said you were ahead of schedule on hitting on your swing.
Well, how my swing feels this early, yes.
For the layman, what does that mean? What do you
Well, just every year, you got to find out where you're at, right? Find out where my swing mechanics are, how the balls come off the bat, what I'm doing. So it's all, you know, just a feel thing for me. I just really like my direction to the baseball right now, and just the timing aspects always last when it comes to hitting, right? So, but the solid of my foundation, the way how I work in the cages, I'm really happy with how all that feels right now.
I know you've been here for a week. Guys are starting to trickle in. What is it like catching up with the fellows maybe that you haven't seen in a while?
It's always great. You know, to see how hard guys work and to come in great shape. You know, everybody comes in with a smile on their face, lots of hugs. So it's a family atmosphere. It always has been here, and it's always good to see your guys.
All right, that was Michael Brantley. He said he's right where he needs to be. He's right where the team wants him, and he's working his way back. So super excited about having Brantley back. Listen, this Astros team is good. You know, one of the things that hasn't gotten done yet is an extension for Kyle Tucker. You know, he has this year and another year on his current contract, and he lost the arbitration, but it doesn't mean that they aren't still trying to work it out. And like Kyle said earlier this week, listen, you know, I'm here this year and at least this year and next year, and I put in the work, and I'm going to play. You know, I want to be here. I like the situation, so hopefully they get a deal done for Kyle Tucker. All right, so we're going to shift gears just a little bit, and we're going to talk about football. Today is when NFL teams can put that franchise tag on somebody. Not relevant for the Houston Texans, but the team I'm watching and the player I'm watching is Lamar Jackson with the Baltimore Ravens. What is going to happen in Baltimore, right? Will they tag him? If they give him the franchise tag, then, you know, another team could say, you know, make him an offer, be willing to give up 2 first-round draft picks, but the Ravens would have an opportunity to match that offer. If the Ravens put the exclusive tag on him, and that would be the regular franchise tag would probably pay him about 32, 34 million a year. It's based on the average of the top players' payment at that position. But if they put the exclusive tag on him, then he can't do anything. But then he gets a little more money. And maybe that number is closer to in the 40s, low to mid 40s. But no other team could do anything. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think that, well, I think he should get some representation. I think it's great to have your family to support you. But I think in something like as significant as this move, that to hire an agent that could negotiate this deal. But at any rate, that's not what he did. I think his mom and his cousin or somebody who were doing the deal for him, they should pay him. What they initially offered him, I believe, was like $133 million. It's kind of an insult to a guy like Lamar Jackson when I think Kyler Murray's number is about 185 that he's got, or 185, 189 fully guaranteed. Russell Wilson is at like 165. You got to pay Lamar Jackson $200 million. I understand that you may not want to do what the Cleveland Browns did with giving Deshaun Watson all that guaranteed money and the $230 million. But Lamar should be give him a $250, $300 million contract, but you got to guarantee him $200 million. That's what I think. I think he's earned it. And I think the reason that you may not give him a fully guaranteed deal at $250 or more is because he has had some health injuries the last few years. He has not been able to finish the season. But even with that, he's a $200 million guaranteed player for sure. That's easy for me to say. I know it's not my money, but I'll be curious to see what this Baltimore Ravens team decides to do. Okay. Here's something else that happened. I love your input. Let me jump in and check everybody. Good morning, Sylvia. Good morning. Hello, Mark Solomon. Always good to see you, my friend. Hello, Ellen Davis Johnson, my other sister. Kevin Walker. I can't believe that you haven't had the body butter. You got to order some and get some for your friend too. Y'all will love it. You'll thank me and you'll be like, that Kim Davis is amazing. Go to KimmyTreats.com or either shoot me a text and I can get some for you. You don't have to have it shipped, but we do ship. Kevin, that's a great question. Why does this media hate on Dusty so bad? Call the man Pawpaw because he's an older gentleman yet well respected. I'm gonna tell you guys this. I believe that one of the reasons that the media in this market, because he's respected around the league. So Dusty is respected. Dusty has been around for a minute. Dusty is not. He's cool, right? He's not. He's easy to work with, but he's not playing with him. And I'm going to say this. I think that for some of the media, especially in this good old boy market of Houston, yep, I said it, they don't like the fact that this black man doesn't say what they want him to say the way they want him to say it. That's what I see. I'm there, right? I'm not at spring training, but throughout the season, I'm there. I'm in the dugout. I see that he's not being testy or flippant, but it's like they want him to respond a certain way. And so they already have their ideas about him. There were so many who last year, when he unfortunately was out for a few games, you guys remember he got COVID last year? And so the bench coach was elevated. Of course, he was talking to Dusty. Dusty wasn't in the stadium. And they were like, oh my gosh, the Astros are so much better. I can't. I just can't, y'all. I can't do it with some of these folks. So why? I think that's why. And I don't always reduce things to, it must be about race. But what I will say is there is a sense of entitlement. And when you are not them, they will always wonder, like, why should you be in the room? And, okay, you ought to be glad to be here. Dusty, he wasn't retired like he often says. He said, I just didn't get another contract. But he also wasn't out looking for a job. Jim Crane went looking for him. And he came in with this mess that the organization had created from the top down, stepped in, and this team not only never lost a beat, but improved and got another World Series title. So, yeah, they already trying to run him out of town. But here's a good thing. He doesn't care what they think. It does not matter. It does not matter. Hello, Laventa, my cousin from up north in Dallas, in the Dallas area. Would I give up my picks from Cleveland to get Lamar? So, you got a lot of picks from Cleveland. I think it's going to take 2 first-round picks to get Lamar. I mean, obviously, if they franchise him, right? I like Lamar. Would I give up 2 first-round picks? I probably would give up 2 first-round picks. I don't see this organization doing it. I just don't see it. I don't see Nick Caserio doing it. I'm super excited about DeMeco. I still don't think Nick is the answer. But I hope that in spite of Nick, that DeMeco's able to have some success. Hopefully he will get DeMeco the kind of players he needs and that he wants and the whole 9 yards, and they'll be singing Kumbaya for the next 5 years. But to answer your question, I don't see the Texans doing that. But how about this? There's all this chatter, which I think is ridiculous, about Chicago being willing to trade Justin Fields so that they can take Bryce Young with the top pick. I think it's ridiculous. I don't know why you would not try to build around Justin Fields. I think this kid can play. I think he's got a lot of upside. So here's a question, Kevin and the rest of you. Would you give up 2 picks for Justin Fields? Would you go out and get Justin Fields as your quarterback? Because, if they're willing to trade him to go get Bryce Young, I don't see C.J. Stroud coming here. The unwritten, kind of underlying factors that C.J. Stroud is represented by David Mulagella and the guy who represented Deshaun. I understand the Texans don't want to deal with David. I think it's ridiculous, but that may be what is existing in the organization. So I don't know if C.J. Stroud is a real option for this team. I don't know. What do you think about Dustin Fields? You said, Kevin said 6 years, $300 million guaranteed, the 4 years at $50 a year. Yep, for Lamar, I think that's good. I would, if I'm the Ravens, I do this deal. Like, I give him 4 years, guarantee the 4, so you're guaranteeing him $200 million, but you do 6 years at $300. I think that's smart. I would do it. And you're right, ladies. Dusty showed them that age is just a number. I'm not even going to say that black don't crack, but all that is the case. Dusty, you heard Dana Brown say it, like, these guys will run through a wall for him. We don't need them to do that. But they're bought in, right? There's none of this, we're not so sure, we don't really know if they're bought in. And Kevin, I'm guessing you're saying hell no to my Justin Fields idea. I am curious. I would not be terribly surprised if the Texans don't take a quarterback in the first round. I'm just trying to get y'all ready, okay? Because we do understand that they're not going to be good this year, okay? They should be better, absolutely, because they were awful. But they're not going to be real good. So do you go and do you just, do you build your defense, go out and get you a veteran? Do you think about maybe, do you go out and you say, well, you know what, maybe we want to talk to Derek Carr? They're not going to do that either. But I'm just saying, do you think about, is there a veteran quarterback? There are not many, right? You obviously can't get Aaron Rodgers, and please don't bring him here. You don't have the capital. You're not going to do that. But maybe Derek Carr, not that he would want to come here, right? Because he's going to have a few more options as long as he makes a decision before Aaron Rodgers figures out what he's doing. It's so many questions. I'm just really fascinated by all of it. And Tony says, I would not give up picks for Lamar or Justin Fields. What would you do at quarterback, Tony? That's what I'm interested in. What would you do at quarterback? I'd love to know your thoughts about how you move forward with quarterback. So I'm guessing, again, the hell no, Kevin, is for Derek Carr. You say hell no. And let me just say this. I say that for Garoppolo. I don't get him either. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to actually get a quarterback in the first round with that second pick. They've got 2 picks in the first round, right? Will they get a quarterback? Will they trade back and get a defensive player and get more picks? I just don't know what the thinking is. Tony says pick a young, cheap quarterback and develop. But here's the challenge with that, Tony. Who is that guy? And I've got to trust the person making the decision about evaluating that talent to get it right. I'm sorry. I'm not absolutely sold that Nick is the guy. Now, the first couple rounds, okay. But where you really, to me, make your money and earn your worth as a talent evaluator is later in the draft on the second day, right? It's later in the draft in terms of, where do you go find the steals and the gems? It's probably unfair to mention a Tom Brady who went in the 7th round because that's not normal or typical. But is that what you do? Because even if you get a young quarterback early, any of the ones that we talk about being, the top of the draft, it's going to take them a minute. They're not going to come in right away and be able to, you may play them, but it's going to take them a minute. So I don't know, right? Apart from Mahomes, the NFL Final Four were all cheap quarterbacks. So you're talking about Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and you're talking about the kid out at San Francisco. But that's because of injury. But you make a good point. Listen, Jalen Hurts, who's another guy who has come in and showed you what he can do. I think, speaking of Jalen Hurts, I brought him up. The Eagles need to pay him, right? Pay the man. Go ahead and pay the man, build around him, because he's shown you that he is the quarterback of the future. While Mahomes won MVP in that Super Bowl game last week, on that night, just Jalen Hurts was a better quarterback. On that night, on that field, Jalen Hurts is a top-tier quarterback in the National Football League. They need to pay the man. Yes, Burrow, Hurts, and Purdy. Well, yeah, they're on rookie deals, but you got to get the rookie right. That's what I'm saying. Who are you turning? Are you trusting? Well, I guess you got to trust Nick. He's your general manager, but you got to get it right, because it doesn't matter if you miss on the pick and you don't get it right. You may have a cheap quarterback, or you may have somebody on a rookie deal, but if they can't play and they don't have much upside, what do you have? I'm not really sure. So even Trey Lance is on a rookie deal. Yep, he is. They've had quarterbacks come out in recent years, and so they've all picked well. So listen, I'm going to go and bring in our big interview for today. I told you I'm excited. Is Michael Haywood, and he can help us talk about some of these college players, because that's really his area, of expertise. And so I'd love to get him to weigh in. Michael has more than 25, maybe more than 30 years of experience in college football, and he always makes me a lot smarter about what's happening with the college game. So I'd like to welcome, for the first time in 23, Michael Haywood. Hello, Coach. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Kim?
I'm good. It's good to see you. I see you repping your Notre Dame, your little Notre Dame jacket. What's that about?
I'm in South Bend, so I got to rep them.
Well, you're in South Bend, and you also, of course, are a Notre Dame alum, and you coached on that staff. I can't think of his name right now, but I met somebody going to the Super Bowl, one of your alums, and he's like, "Oh, I know Coach Haywood." I got to look for his card. But listen, first of all, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I want to get your thoughts about some of these quarterbacks that are coming out, and your thoughts about them. I know you were familiar with them. I want to know what you think about Bryce Young. People are saying he's too small. What do you think about C.J. Stroud? What are your thoughts about the top prospects coming out at the quarterback position? Then I'm going to ask you about Marcus Freeman.
Okay, first of all, they list Bryce Young at 6 foot tall. He's 5'10", 5'11", somewhere up there,
okay.
Probably about 195 pounds. I've had the opportunity to see him a couple times play live, seen him on tape. The young man is extremely accurate, and somehow or some way, he finds a way to get the ball out through the open area. And when he throws it at different trajectories and at different angles, he's extremely accurate. And, you know, he's a guy in which, because of his level of intelligence to go along with his athletic ability, most likely he'll be the first guy taken in the draft. And I think he'll have some success if he has a good quarterback coach. You know, all coaches, Charlie Weiss, who I coached for at Notre Dame, who had won 3 Super Bowls with New England, he said to me one day, he said, "You'd be surprised of the lack of coaching that goes on in the NFL." So I say that in saying, if he has a good quarterback coach, not by name, but by results, then he'll be an outstanding quarterback, I think, in the NFL.
Does his size or lack of size concern you, Michael?
It always
Is that something to worry? It does.
It would concern me if he hadn't played in the SEC. But in playing in the SEC is a semi-pro league for the NFL. And primarily, I'm not talking about in pay also, but primarily because of, his offensive linemen are 6'3" to 6'7". And so with that being said, he's had to go against these guys that are extremely tall, and he's had to change his release to make sure that he gets the ball out at the appropriate angle so that he can be accurate in throwing it to his wide receivers. Now, if he had played in the Mid-American Conference or somewhere like that, I'd say, no, I wouldn't have the confidence he'll do it. But he's already played with the best of the best in college football, so I just think he'll be able to do it.
What are your thoughts about C.J. Stroud? Do you like him? Do you think he translates at the next level to continue to build on what he's been doing at the Ohio State?
I saw C.J. Play against Notre Dame this year. My son and I went to the game, and it's interesting that the only thing that they worked on pregame was out routes and comeback routes, everything working to the sideline. I go back and look at his tape. How accurate is he in throwing the ball over the middle of the field? That's what my concern is.
Okay.
But when it comes to throwing deep balls with 2 trajectories, when it comes to throwing comeback routes at 18 yards deep, out route, speed route, he has a great arm and does a great job, and he has a high level of ceiling in throwing those routes. But if you look at Ohio State over a period of time, Ohio State doesn't throw the ball over the middle of the field. They may throw it 2 yards outside the hash and at the numbers, but they don't necessarily throw it over the middle of the field unless they're throwing it deep. And so that's my concern with him. But, he's probably the second best quarterback in the draft from the work in which he's done. However, when you get to work him out, when they work him out, they'll be able to tell how accurate is he in throwing the ball over the middle of the field because they didn't do it very much on a consistent basis.
Michael, how much upside do you think Justin Fields has? And if you are the Bears, I'm going to make you a GM now, would you trade Justin Fields and try to go get a Bryce Young, or would you build around this kid?
I build around him because he's extremely athletic. He has a winner's attitude. Guys like playing for him. Players speak highly of him off the field. They have a lot of confidence in him. So I think if they build around him, then I think they'll have a good opportunity for success. And, the deal is, trade your first-round draft pick and get more draft picks in which you can build around them. And that is the argument in Chicago and Indiana. Right. Are they going to trade the first-round draft pick because you don't need a quarterback and go get more picks, Get 2 first rounders, get 2 first rounders, get a second rounder, get a third rounder, get a fourth rounder, get more draft picks in which you can build a team. Because when it comes to quality of players, they don't have enough players. They don't have enough quality of players to win on a consistent basis.
I'm talking with Coach Michael Hayward. He is our resident college football expert. But he also knows a little something about the league because these players translate on to the next level. Let me ask your thought about, we were talking a little bit earlier about Lamar Jackson, right? So we're waiting to see what's going to happen with the Ravens. Are they going to franchise him? Are they going to be able to work out a deal? I feel like the Ravens should do whatever it takes to have Lamar happy and in their system. Right? he's earned that, but also they have built their entire offense around him. So if you do something that would cause you to move on from him, you're going to have to rebuild your offense because there's not another Lamar Jackson.
Right. Lamar Jackson got me fired from doing the radio show at Notre Dame at one time.
Okay, I've got to hear this story.
Because I was doing pregame and postgame show, and Lamar Jackson came out, and they hadn't run zone read. Period. There was nowhere on tape that they had run zone read, and I made a comment: if Louisville runs zone read, and Notre Dame has not gone to get help on how to stop zone read because they couldn't stop it last year, Lamar Jackson will run for 120 yards and score 2 touchdowns, and Notre Dame will lose. Well, every call-in show to the postgame was, how did you know that we weren't going to be able to stop it? And I told them when I was at LSU with Jimbo Fisher, we were the first ones to run zone read in Division I football. And Jimbo and them had run it at 1AA or Division II, wherever he had played in college. They had run some zone read down there, but nobody was running in college football. And so kind of like got me fired.
Well, other than him getting you fired, what do you think the future is? What would you do with Lamar Jackson?
Lamar Jackson, here's my concern. Did Lamar Jackson not play because he wanted a contract and he could have come back and played at the end of the year?
No, I think he was hurt. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So if Lamar Jackson was hurt, I do whatever I have to do to keep Lamar Jackson. I mean, you're talking about guaranteed money, fine. I mean, what is that for the owner to guarantee his contract? And the guy is one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league, and I think that he'll do a tremendous job when he comes back and he's healthy. And so I would make sure that I had him, because if you choose not to sign Lamar Jackson, now all of a sudden you got to start all over.
You got to start all over because they've built their offense around him.
Yeah, you got to start all over. You got to start off with offensive linemen. You got to start off with wide receivers,
skill players, everything.
Yeah, you got to start off with a whole new program.
Clearly, they're going to sign him. As whether they'll franchise him, which I think if they franchise him, he's not going to play. I don't know. I'm fascinated to watch how that unfolds. I'm also curious to see. Obviously, I cover the Texans. They have a lot of needs, and so I said, Michael, they may not get a quarterback in this draft, right? I don't know. Maybe they try to go for defense, get somebody later, because they're not going to be great this year, right? Because they're going to be young. There's a lot of moving parts. You know, I guess if, like you said, Bryce Young is a transformational kind of player, you could get him. I don't see them taking a C.J. Stroud because of the connection, because of his agent. Nobody says that. That's just what I think. His agent's the same one who represented Deshaun Watson. They don't have a great taste in their mouth about David. And so I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, what about – well, here's the other foobar in the draft, all right? You have Hooker out of Tennessee.
You like him?
Love him. Love him to death. All right. If he hadn't torn his ACL, he would have been one of the finalists for the Heisman Trophy. Okay. He was on everybody's list. All the guys that I talked to that were voting, he was in the top 3 on everybody's list for the Heisman Trophy. So he's going to be around as a late draft pick, and I say a middle round draft pick because of his torn ACL. Even though torn ACLs aren't what they used to be in the past, and guys recover a lot faster, he's going to be around probably in the late second, third. Maybe he may make it to the 4th round, but I doubt it. He'll be a second, third round guy. Why not take Hooker? You know, because I mean he's playing in the SEC, unbelievable athlete, has a chip on his shoulder. All right. And because of the chip on his shoulder, this dude spends ultimate amount of time in the film room studying. Wow. Because he wants to prove that he's better than everybody else. All right. And then you come back and you got Will Levis at Kentucky. That reminds you of Allen. And my problem with Will Levis, every time I watch Will Levis, I turn the television off in the second or third quarter because I'm tired of watching Will Levis, because Will Levis has unbelievable confidence in himself, but his confidence doesn't transfer like Allen does on the field. And that is my concern about him. He has all the intangibles, but he thinks he's better than what he is. And
so that's a case where he's got to be with the right coach, right? He's got to get to
be with the right coach.
Right coach.
Got to be with the right coach. And I hate to say this, all right, Kim, because you and I was in Houston, and I'm still in Houston. I just spent a lot of time in South Bend, but it's the same thing, all right. If he were, hypothetically speaking, if he were to go to New England, he'd be a good football player. He would be one of the best quarterbacks in the league if he went to the New England Patriots because of Belichick. And I got to give O'Brien credit. O'Brien is pretty good as a quarterback coach.
As a quarterback coach, I give him that. He just should not be a head coach, and he absolutely shouldn't be a general manager. I have to agree with you on that.
Because he don't care who you are. He is ripping your tail when you don't do exactly what you're supposed to do. And I believe that's what Will needs. If he gets a coach like that, Will be outstanding in the NFL, and they'll be talking about him as one of the top 6 or 7 best quarterbacks in the NFL. But if he gets a guy that really doesn't get into him, that wants to be his friend and go out and have a few drinks with him and everything, he'll just keep throwing picks.
Well, I'm thinking about, the Texans are putting their staff together with D'Amico Ryans, and the Texans are putting their staff together. And it doesn't seem like he's the fit for this staff, right? I think D'Amico's solid. I think he's going to be a great coach. He's got a young quarterback coach who I think will be good, but I don't know if that's what you need with a guy like Will Levens.
Right.
So it should be interesting. Let me ask you, as last season ended, the final 4 of the quarterbacks that made it. Obviously, there's Jalen Hurts, who you are really familiar with. Patrick Mahomes, who is just all world. And I saw your comment, Kevin, saying hold up by saying Jalen did not play Pat Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Jalen was pretty good in that Super Bowl game, but Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Burrow, Burrow out of Cincinnati, LSU guy. And
right.
Who's the other guy I'm thinking of? The quarterback from Purdy. What do you make of those final 4 guys? And did any of them surprise you that they've been able to perform at this level so quickly, I would say?
I've known Hurts since he was in high school. And he's a young man that has unbelievable work ethic.
Yeah.
When he got beat out at Alabama, he stayed. His father and I had multiple conversations about it. He stayed and he competed for the job. He ended up coming back and winning the game for him. All right?
Yeah.
And then he was told that he wasn't going to be the starter. I feel that was the appropriate time for him to leave. However, before he went to Oklahoma, he got a quarterback coach. And he worked out all off-season, all spring to get better. And he went with a good quarterback coach, over to Oklahoma. And he had great success. And didn't have success immediately when he went into the NFL. But once again, he got a quarterback coach. And he worked, and he worked. And he has great work ethic. And his intelligence level is high. He made one FUBAR in the game where he fumbled the ball and they went in and scored. But outside of that FUBAR, that guy was like on fire.
Yeah.
He is now proven to be one of the best 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. Some people say one of the best 3. But he is outstanding. And, I like his game. Patrick Mahomes, that dude is just unbelievable. He's a wizard. But he throws the ball at so many different angles. He just, whatever he has to do to get the ball out of his hand, he'll throw it left-handed, he'll flip it underhand, he'll throw it sideways. This guy is just playing, when we were at LSU, we used to call it tiger ball with the camp kids. He's playing tiger ball out there, just getting the ball out of his head as quick as he can get the ball out of his head. And has unbelievable, they probably shot him up when they took him into that locker room. They probably shot him up to deaden that pain, but he came back out and competed, and he's what you want. Jeff Burrow is like
he cool.
It's like Namath.
Really?
Oh,
okay.
Jeff Burrow, when he was at LSU, they loved him. I mean, from the athletic down to the equipment manager, they loved him. And he hung out with everybody. I mean, he was just as cool as the day is long. And, I mean, his attire when he was at LSU, they used to say, hey, Coach, we're going to send you this picture. Kevin Falk used to send me pictures every once in a while because this dude would just dress. I mean, and he has unbelievable poise and unbelievable patience. And he just studies the game of football and loves studying the game of football. And Cincinnati's doing a good job with surrounding him around the right people. And they're going to keep surrounding him around the best people because this guy's going to be in the championship game almost every year now because he's outstanding.
San Francisco, of course, had an interesting situation, right? They elevated Trey Lance. He got hurt. I want to know what you think about his upside. And then, of course, Purdy came in and was productive until he got hurt. Were you surprised? Because I wasn't as familiar with Purdy. Were you surprised? I'm sure you were familiar with him, with how he was able to perform. And do you think Trey Lance is the quarterback of the future for the 49ers?
There's not enough evidence to say he is, and there's not enough evidence to say he isn't.
Okay, that's fair.
Because he hasn't had enough opportunities to produce and to show what talent that he does have. Purdy, the way Purdy plays and the way they work the offense and the people that they surrounded Purdy with, Purdy is like, Purdy comes across, and I don't know Purdy, but Purdy comes across as a high intelligent guy and studies the game because in watching his progression, he knew where to go with the ball. If it was post safety, he knew what side of the field to work. If it was split safety, he knew what side of the field to work. And if it was man, he knew where it was, and he knew how to get his protection to slide his protection to protect him in the pocket, and he knew where the free defender was coming from. So that told me that he was extremely intelligent, all right, and making sure. And then they simplified the game for him a little bit, and each week they gave him a little bit more. And so I think that the coaches did a tremendous job, first of all, and then Purdy just acclimated himself in the system, and he went to work, and he showed that he has the ability to play in the NFL.
Let me ask you before I have a coaching question for you, but let me ask you, Tony wants to know your thoughts on Marcus Freeman. What do you think about Marcus Freeman?
I really like Marcus, and I think Marcus is a really good guy. Sometimes good guys finish last in this business. The situation that just happened at Notre Dame was a tragedy, and Jack Swarbrick comes out with this letter. I mean, Jack, you forgot I was in the meeting room with you, so I know what the letter was supposed to say instead of what it said. When you bring in a coach, you don't trust your administration to handle you bringing in a coach that you want to hire. Marcus Freeman allowed people that he trusted within the organization to handle bringing in Leftwich. And they bring him in with a salary, and they brought him in, and they believed the buyout to be $400,000. Everything was incorrect because he had signed a new contract.
Oh, wow.
The first thing you do as an assistant athletic director who was involved and as the head coach, first of all, you don't let somebody else do it. You do it yourself. And you ask the question, like when I went to Texas from LSU, Mac asked me the question. He said, what's your salary? Because I know Nick gave you a new salary. So I know the one that I have here on paper isn't correct. And he says, so what other bonuses did he give you? Is there a buyout? Well, Freeman should have asked those questions. However, because of where he is in his coaching career, he didn't know to ask those questions. And then they find out that the buyout is $2.8 million.
It's quite a difference.
Significant difference. And then they try to get him to reduce it. Utah says no. And then in the end, Jack Swarbrick, the AD, decides that he's going to buy it out. But now the assistant coach is like, nah, he's a little spooked because you didn't buy it out right away. You went through the process of trying to get him to reduce it. Now he's a little spooked, and so he decided, he's an old school guy. He decided he's just going to stay where he is. I think Freeman did a good job behind Gino. My mentor, Morris Watts, who was with me at LSU, TSU, Miami, and he was going to that other place with me too. When he left Miami, he went over to Central Michigan, and he had Gino on the staff over there as a young coach over there. And he really liked Gino. And Marcus just hired Gino as a quarterback coach. And I think he'll do a good job. He promoted the tight end coach to be the offense coordinator. It's tough to cut your teeth at Notre Dame, but you got 7 games that you ought to just win outright. You got 2 games that you'll have a little slight battle with, and then you got 3 games that you're gonna have to bow up because they're gonna play. I think on the 23rd they play Ohio State. Then they come back 2 or 3 weeks later. They play USC, and then I can't remember who I put in that 3rd spot. But they got 3 games they got to bow up on.
Yeah.
But I think Marcus is going to be a good coach. I think that the bumps and bruises that he's getting right now will make him a little bit better as he matures and grows into the position. But he got to find out who he can trust and who he can't trust within the organization.
Right, and isn't that pretty much key everywhere? I want to ask you about one more, Coach. I'm trying to make sure that I don't use up too much of my time, so you'll come back again soon. You know how I like to do it. So Eric Bieniemy, who has been an OC with the Chiefs, and when things were not going, when the offense would have those moments where it would sputter, it was because of Bieniemy, and when the offense was soaring, it's because of Andy Reid. Clearly, Andy Reid is a great coach. He's a future Hall of Famer, but Eric Bieniemy just couldn't really for some reason couldn't get a shot at a head coach. I mean, the two coordinators for the Eagles, the team that lost, each of those guys had head coaching jobs. So now, of course, Bieniemy has gone and taken the job, which some people say is a lateral move with the Commanders. I say it's not a lateral move, not just because of the money. He's the assistant head coach, and he's offensive coordinator. I think he had to get from under Andy to get a shot. If you can turn that awful offense around, that he should probably get some credit for that. What do you think about that? You've been a coach. Would you have made that kind of move?
He didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Like when I was at Texas and I left Texas to go to Notre Dame to be the OC, I tried to get Bieniemy to take the running back job at Texas. And he couldn't take it because he was taking care of his mother out in California. And so I've always liked Bieniemy and thought he was a really good person and a good football coach. Bieniemy last year signed a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Bieniemy didn't have it, but Bieniemy didn't have a job. Maybe quietly kept.
I heard that, yeah.
He had to go get another job. All right? So taking the Commander's job, I don't believe it's a lateral move because you don't have a job. And I'm not sure why he only had a 1-year contract. But Bieniemy has to become a CEO.
Yeah.
And he doesn't present himself as a CEO.
Have him call me, Michael. I'm good at helping people with that. He does, because when I hear people say he doesn't interview well, it takes me back to when Tony Dungy, I was doing a talk show with Max Edison, my dear friend who's passed on now. We were doing a daily radio sports talk show, and Tony Dungy was on our show. And not that how you interview on radio tells you everything, but people said Tony Dungy didn't interview well. So when I hear them say Eric Bieniemy, he just doesn't come across well. He's a little rough around the edges. But we can work on that. He's a damn good football coach. You can't tell me he's not.
No, he's a good football coach. But like when he goes into, I've seen some of his interviews. They have sent me some of his interviews, and they say, you need to talk to this guy. Because he goes in the interview, and it's all joke city. I mean, and I'm like, this isn't. I said it might be all right with all the reporters in the room. You might want to be their friends and everything. But that owner that's up there watching this videotape is saying, this is not my guy.
Right.
And, you know, and he's hard on players now.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes the language that he uses, you know, they
It's
come
a little
back.
rough.
It is not a little rough. It's real rough. And, you know, like Adrian Peterson said one day, you say that to me one more time and I'm going to whip your blank, blank, blank. You know, so you got to know the clientele and what you're dealing with, because you can't be that guy, you know, with all players.
You know, I heard something else, Michael, and I don't know. It's from a pretty good source. I'd heard about the 1-year contract. I didn't know if that was really true, but you confirmed that. But I also heard that the thought was that he was like the head coach in waiting, but it had become clear that that guy's going to be Spags, right? Which is why I think he signed a 1-year deal. When it became clear that, you know, Spags is going to be the guy whenever Andy Reid decides to hang it up.
Right.
And so he knew there was no real future for him there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's not going to be the man in Kansas City. But he may be the man in Washington. But you never know, because now in the situation in Washington, they may have a new owner.
Yeah, they probably are going to have a new owner. And they might have a new head coach before too long.
Yeah, so you don't know what your situation is going to be out there, but at least you got 1 year to go out there and change it around, because I think, what are they? Washington was 20th in total offense, I think.
Yeah.
So Washington's 20th in total offense, so you got an opportunity to get them in the top 10.
Yeah.
But who's the quarterback?
It's going to be me, apparently. I mean, is it Hanky? Is it, I mean, and people like, he left Mahomes to go. I said, yeah, but Mahomes is good with his career. Bieniemy's trying to do something with his. If he wants to be a head coach, he's never going to get the credit for the offense working under Andy Reid. Whether he should or not, he's never going to get it, and that's clear. But I also know that he needs a little coaching himself, right? I can't help you coach the game, but you got to know you got to be able to coach and move in that circle. So we'll have to talk off air so we can connect with him, because I know I feel like he could be a good head coach. He deserves a shot at it. Absolutely.
He deserves an opportunity. Even if he fails, he at least deserves an opportunity. I mean, everybody else is getting an opportunity. They're coordinators that are winning, but they still haven't won as many games as he's won.
That's true. That's true.
Because he was at Kansas City, I think, 10 years, 5 years as an OC.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. If you're sitting in the room and just listening, like I tell kids, just go to the classroom and sit in the front row and just listen. Through osmosis, something's going to sink in.
Right.
So, and it's the same thing.
Something, right?
I mean, I got guys that called me up and they said, hey, man, what'd you guys do versus this? And I say, oh, here are the 3 answers that I'm going to give you. So I give them 3 answers right there. They say, well, how do you still remember this? And you haven't coached in 4 years. I say, sitting in the room is through osmosis. It's like riding a bicycle. You don't forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that, he'll have some success out there if they can get a quarterback.
If they can get a quarterback. And that, of course, is the question. Xavier Williams is saying hello to you. Hey, Coach. Hey, Xavier.
Xavier Williams. Xavier Williams goes back to St. Philip Neri when I was at St. Peter's. That's a long way back.
That's a long way back.
I think that was 1974.
Wow.
Xavier Williams was a hell of a basketball player now.
Oh, really? I don't think I knew that. Did Xavier play in high school? We went to high school together. I don't know if he played.
Oh, he was an outstanding basketball player.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at there, Xavier. Who knew? Well, Michael, I appreciate it. I know it was last minute because I'm like, if you can't do it, we'll tape something. So I'm so glad you could join me. We got to do this more because you always add so much. I will. I know that you're in Notre Dame, and we just got to catch up anyway. But
I'm here. I stay in South Bend 3 weeks a month because, fortunately enough, my name in South Bend is still resonating with the people in this community, and with the construction company that I started, we get 10 times more work in South Bend than we do in Houston. So I'm here 3 weeks a month, and in Houston 1 week a month.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
listen, as a business owner, I understand sometimes we have to make those decisions and move around, and plus you get to spend all that time with MC. So give the big guy my love. How old is he?
He's 13, turns 14 in 2 weeks, and we've been blessed because his elevator doesn't stop academically. His elevator climbs, and the only thing that stops him is when he wants to procrastinate.
Well, I know that there's somebody making sure that he keeps it going. So I'm not concerned.
Yeah, tighten the screws. Well, dear, I appreciate you having me on your show. And when you want to talk about the NIL,
yes,
NIL is quite different because every university does it different. And it's quite interesting because some people use it as the old way of paying players.
Right.
And then other people use it as a tier program. You're getting paid on your performance and you're getting paid on your academics.
Wow. We're going to come back and talk about that. I'll hit you offline and see when you have time again on a Tuesday, but I definitely want to dive into the NIL. But thank you for giving us some light, and thank you for talking about Bieniemy. I forgot that you knew him. To add that, I thought it was interesting that people that have been critical of him, I felt like he had to make the move, and so you just confirmed that. Thank you, Michael. Give the family my love. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
All right. Bye-bye. That was former head coach, but college coach Michael Haywood, who always has just a ton of information and adds so much to the program. Thank him for joining me on Chalk Talk today. I wanted to get some thoughts because I know he knows about these quarterbacks and the Eric Bieniemy piece. I wanted to talk about that since that move just happened in the last couple of days. And many of you have been hitting me on the back channel asking me my thoughts. So I have thoughts, but it's good to hear from Michael. All right, listen, we are just about out of time. I want to remind you about the World Youth Foundation, our partnership with them to bring awareness and help promote the upcoming African American Male Wellness Walk. That walk is April the 15th. It's going to start and end at Texas Southern University. It is a 5K. That's 3.1 miles. You can walk, run. Just come on out and make sure you sign up. Bring the brothers out, right? Because you can get, they're going to be health screenings. And that's really the whole goal, to have conversations about how to be healthy, get your numbers, get the screenings, ask the questions, get the information, and do it in an environment that's cool and fun. That's April the 15th. Put it on your calendar. Also, don't forget about Jinka. If you're not taking Jinka, I'm going to tell you to put it in your diet. Try it for at least 30 days, right? Add the Jinka to your diet. And men, I'm going to tell you something that I've heard other men say. It's really great for blood flow. That's all I got on that. Y'all, you figure that out on your own. But you can get it as a paste. You can take it as a capsule. However you get it, it's really good for your immune system. It helps to reduce inflammation. People have seen their numbers come down in terms of their A1C, those who are diabetic, their blood pressure numbers, their cholesterol. So go to HEB, and this is where you find it if you go to HEB.
Here at HEB, in the Healthy Living Department of Probiotics, you can find Jinka 7 days a week.
Yep. Look at a lot of Jinka sale. Look at that. Jinka.
So that's what you look for. And don't forget about Kimmy Treats. It's vegan popcorn. And yes, Kevin, it is some organic hand-whipped body butter. You will not be disappointed. You can go to KimmyTreats.com and place an order. It ships anywhere in the country. Or you can go to Sunshine's Vegetarian Deli. But this is what it looks like. All right, we actually have new packaging for the body butter, but it's all the same goodness. All right, that's it for today. Remember, do something kind for yourself. Do something kind for somebody else. If you are not registered to vote, please do register. If you happen to live in Texas, know that our legislature is in session. Pay attention. Let your legislators, the state reps and state senators, let them hear from you, because they won't be back to work after this session ends in May for 2 years. So don't wait until the off season to reach out. Now is the time to be engaged. See what they're talking about in terms of education. If you got issues about books in the schools, let somebody hear from you. Now is the time. And remember, if you're not vaccinated, I encourage you to do that too. I will see you next Tuesday right here on Chalk Talk. In the meantime, follow me on all my social platforms. I have updates for you. There's a lot going on. Thank you for being here. Make it a great week. Peace.